Don't stop working, earn what you get, and stick it out.
On today's Wind Up Wednesday edition of the Odd Coaches Podcast, Dr. Adams and Coach Francis discuss the fallout from the NBA draft, NBA free agency, as well as the weekend review in the WNBA. Welcome to today's show. The Odd Coaches Podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and with me today is my tag team partner, still staying with the women during the WNBA season, the Wendy Richter to my magnificent Mimi in the AWA, the icon, the showstopper, the main event, and the reason why we are here, Coach Mike Francis. And Coach, got to give you a little quick one on this. So this is like 1988. Wendy Richter had her little beef with WWF at the time.
Wendy Richter.
Yes, and she couldn't get a gig. So the AWA, who barely had a hold of women's wrestling at that time, who barely had a hold of anything, they hired her. They had this model named Magnificent Mimi, who was a good, MMA fighter, and they made her a wrestler. She looked good, and they had tag teams with her and against Medusa Michelli and some Sherry Martel and some other wrestlers at that time. So very few people will even remember the two names. Well, they'll remember Wendy Richter, but they won't remember the Magnificent Mimi. And they would definitely not remember the AWA in 1988 when they were barely making it on ESPN. I think they were probably off ESPN at that time. But that is a lot about the American Wrestling Association. So we're going to start with this Wind Up Wednesday edition with some post-draft stuff. But the way we look at the draft, fans, I think you're going to be entertained by it. We're going to talk free agency, and we're going to do our regular week in the WNBA. So, Mike, I just want to make this note to everyone that the NBA is a global game. So there was 58 draft picks in this draft because two teams want to cheat or not do things the right way. We'll leave that alone. So there's 60. So there was two less than usual. And 21 of the players who were drafted, which is 36%, had some type of international background. So there are four different pathways right now to the NBA that are kind of pretty much proven. 52 players went the college traditional pathway. That's 72% of the drafted players did some type of college. 11 went the international pathway, academies, played overseas, whatever. That's 19%. 3 players went through the G League. That's 5%. And although Overtime Elite didn't have anybody drafted this year, apparently there are 2 twins that they have that are going to play in the TBT, and a couple of other players who are going to be really good in this next class. And Jean Montero, who was with Overtime Elite, actually signed a free agent contract and will play for the Knicks this summer. So I think he got an Exhibit 10 contract, and an Exhibit 10 deal are for 1 year, and the minimum salary will count towards the team's off-season roster limit of 20 players, but the money doesn't count against the salary cap unless the player makes the regular season roster. So any initial thoughts before we do a further breakdown of the NBA draft, Coach?
No, it was good to see the young man, even though they went the route that they did, still have an opportunity. That's why it was created. So I'm happy to see that.
All right. So of the players that were drafted who went the college route, 20 of them were freshmen. So that's 47% of the college players were freshmen. 11 of the players were sophomores, and that's 26%. So out of the players who were drafted, 31 were either first or second year players. Okay. There were 7 juniors who were drafted and 4 seniors. And 12 conferences out of the 32 conferences had at least one player drafted. And I shared this with you in advance, but now we get to talk about it a little bit. One kid from the A10 went, two from the AAC, seven from the ACC, one kid drafted from the Big East. That caused me pause because of how old I am and how the Big East, like, wow. So seven from the Big Ten, and I think I might have undercut it a couple. Four from the Big 12, one from the Horizon, one from the MAC, a little bit of MACtion, one from the Mountain West, six from the Pac-12, eight from the SEC, and three from the WCC, the West Coast Conference. Um, any takeaways from when you see the conference breakdown
Look,
as we're looking in the evaluation period, man?
just looked like parity across the board from players getting around. I mean, that was the design of the portal, but it's gone a little out of hand here and there. But it just seems like that was the design because they're coming out of every league now. When they start coming out of the AAC more than they do the Big East, that says a lot.
So, Coach Francis, want to put your coaching hat on, and we're going to give you this free platform to give advice to players now as you're seeing the direction of the league the last couple of years. And as I actually included this in my research, so I started looking at this from this lens. 2013, 2014 is when I really started looking at annual drafts every year. What advice would you give players as they go through the portal? You got NIL, you're seeing the direction that the league's going in with the international. What would you say to them?
Don't stop working, earn what you get, and stick it out. Don't always jump ship the first time something happens. That's what I would say. Um, but these young guys, if you look at all the freshmen and everything that was drafted, man, don't be afraid to come out if you think you're good enough. If you can put yourself in it and your coach is willing to invest, hey, I need to test the waters. I think that's a good idea. And you had some guys like Timothy come back, right?
Mhm. Oh, yes.
So,
Timmy
so
from Gonzaga.
yeah.
So the thing that I'm thinking about is a lot of these international kids came to America to play in college. So they had all the European experience through the academies or whatever, came in. One kid was from England. I think he went to Baylor. He used to change his hair color. I can't remember his name offhand. But they're starting to use our system too, very similar to what track does. A lot of the Jamaicans, a lot of the Europeans come to America, run track for us, and then go back to their home countries, win those gold medals. So the advice I have is purposeful planning and work. That work doesn't hide. One of my favorite players, Brendan Strawn, always says, you can't cheat the grind, man. You cannot cheat it because the grind knows. So I do follow advice from my former players. And speaking of watching these kids play, NBA Summer League, the 17th NBA 2K23 Summer League will feature all 30 NBA teams playing 5 games each. After every team plays 4 games, July 7th through 15th, the 2 teams with the best record from the first 4 games will meet in the championship game Sunday, July 17th on ABC, on ESPN at 3. All of the games are going to be televised either by ESPN or NBA TV. Mike, we got to get there next year, year after, because we just like ball, and that's the purest ball right there. Summer League, they are grinding, trying to get their spots. So, any thoughts before we close this segment and talk free agency and your boy?
Nah, I think it's my boy, but yeah, I think it's good that they're going to show all the games. You forget sometimes who's playing or whatever. I think that's a good job. It's another great marketing strategy. Why not invest? If you're going to get everybody to play, you're still going to get commercials and things like that. It's very smart for them to do this.
Yes, indeed. All right. So when we come back on the other side, we're going to talk free agency and open up with Mike's favorite player. Stay tuned for that. We'll be right back on the Eye Coaches Podcast.
There is an old business adage that says, what gets measured and monitored gets done. It is also fact that deadlines spur action. That is what the CKA Save Project academic monitoring service can do for student athletes. Measure and monitor their academic progress to improve their grades. Our academic monitoring services provide ongoing academic support for student athletes for a designated period of time. Our academic success coaches work with student athletes on time management and organizational skills, along with improving their ability to self-advocate. Every few weeks, our academic success coaches meet with student athletes to assess their academic progress as well as provide ongoing academic advising. If needed, student athletes have access to CKA Learning Specialists who provide virtual core subject academic support for student athletes. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free virtual consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast in segment 2. We're just going to talk a little free agency, talk about some of the teams, and we had to start off talking about Coach Francis's boy, Kyrie Irving. So let me set the stage up with this foolishness as my partner hates distractions. The Nets are suddenly at risk of losing both Kyrie and KD. Kyrie Irving has been attempting to negotiate a contract extension with the Nets, but reports have indicated that talks have reached an impasse, and he has now given the Nets, a list of teams he would be interested in joining via trade. KD, on the other hand, is just kind of hanging back, monitoring the situation. So, Coach, I want to give you the 6 teams that Kyrie allegedly will go and be traded to or take a pay cut to go play with. The Los Angeles Lakers, the Los Angeles Clippers, the New York Knickerbockers, the Dallas Mavericks, him and Luka in the same backcourt. Wow. The Miami Heat, and Jimmy Butler wouldn't put up with that, so maybe that would work.
35 games for 35 games.
The Philadelphia 76ers.
No.
So Durant signed a 4-year extension. He's got very little, leverage. The Nets did this to themselves, man. So before I let you talk about it, if you recall, I complimented the Nets in the beginning of the season when they said, we ain't putting up with this. And if he don't play, if he don't get vaccinated, he ain't playing. Okay. And you gave me a deadpan look as you're doing now. And I said, man, the owner said they ain't putting up with it. And they said it publicly. And then they said, well, we'll let you play in the away games. And I said, man, once you did that, I'm out, because you had a standard and you moved.
Yeah.
So now you're out of it.
They're
and
powerless.
That's just poor leadership. So
powerless.
Yes. So now whatever happens, I mean, you traded all of these players. You did everything for him. And what has he done for you? The relationship, as I like to say, is not mutually beneficial. So, Mike, talk to me. What are you thinking about Kyrie?
Acrimonious is the name that's been used to be described the conversation between him and the Nets. If you don't, acrimonious, I had to look it up earlier. Angry and bitter.
Yes.
And I'm trying to figure out.
Tyler Perry movie. But I forgot who started that.
Why? They did it to themselves.
Yes, they
did. They didn't see the Celtics. They didn't see the Cavaliers. They ain't see none of this. They didn't see Duke. What did he play at Duke? 8 games? How many games he played at Duke?
It couldn't have been much more
Come
than
on,
that. Maybe
man.
it was 13. It might have been 13. Might have been.
Okay.
I'm going to say might.
Okay. So you see. And what was it then, though?
This is crazy, man. This is crazy. So good luck with that, Nets. And by our next episode, I am sure we will have some more foolishness. But let's talk about a guy who is local to us, who is in Detroit. Troy Weaver is knocking it out the box. Rick, knock him out, Rick. The Pistons acquired veteran guard Kemba Walker as part of a 3-team trade. I don't think Walker's going to be there long. So that takes care of that. Walker's on an expiring contract, and the Knicks also traded Jeremy Grant and they are making some good moves. They got Kate Cunningham last year. They got some good picks this year, and they're building through the draft, similar to what. And I'm not putting them in that category yet, but
But
Golden
they
State
did.
built
Yep.
through the draft,
Both teams
and
did.
the Pistons are doing that. And Troy Weaver's a local guy, and we're rooting for him as always, as we do with our local guys. But any thoughts on Detroit's moves?
Ah, um, hopefully he's putting it in position. Well, hopefully they let him stay long enough to see it long term. Like they don't Mark Jackson him, um, and let him build a team and then he gone. Just saying, man. That happens to GMs too. Um, but he's doing a good job so far. I think he's doing a real good job and building through the draft. Not only, hey, Golden State did it, Celtics did it. The big three guys they drafted all of them, correct?
Yeah.
So I like it.
And from going up to the Knicks. The Knicks made the first trade of the NBA draft. They sent the draft rights to Asme Ding, the number 11 pick, to Oklahoma City for 3 future conditional first round draft picks from the Denver Nuggets, the Wizards, and the Pistons. What I believe the Knicks are trying to do is attach these bad contracts and a first round pick to other folks, try to clear up cap space. Um, and I reached out to you because the Knicks then traded the Nuggets first rounder that they received from Oklahoma City, plus 4 second round picks to the Hornets for the rights of a draft pick. And the New York Knicks then traded Duran and Walker to the Pistons for a conditional pick. They want Jalen Brunson. They hired Jalen Brunson's dad. Everybody's got some connects to Jalen Brunson, whether it's the agent, the GM. And I called you and I said, how good is this guy? Because the Knicks seem to like really, really want him. And I haven't paid enough attention. And you told me he's pretty good. Is he good enough for all of this stuff?
That's a good question. That is a damn good
Because when I
question.
called you, you didn't have your notes in front of you.
Yeah, I
Now
don't.
that you're actually looking at what they did, I see the eye crinkle up. I was like,
I'm,
so is Jalen Brunson like Russell Wilson, the guy that's the one player away?
no, no, he's not. He's not. But he would be the most, like, I would say he's probably the most, and I don't want to say versatile because he's short. Not short, but he's not like 6'7", 6'8". But I would be willing to believe that, as far as team players and what you're trying to do, if you want to build culture, you want to build, like, that's the kind of guy he is. But he's a bucket. He's like Andre Miller with the ability to score. You know what I mean? He's just not 6'5", 6'6". But he can. He's a very smart player. Uh, very smart, very tough, and you could build around him. You can build around Brunson. I don't know anybody on the Knicks now that I would build around,
Obi
except for
Toppin.
no, the kid from Baltimore.
I don't know
This
because
would be
the
good for him.
Cam
No, no,
Reddish.
no, 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 no. He's not Baltimore. He's from Duke. Um, the kid that went to Kentucky, oh, played point guard at Kentucky. G Day's boy. I forgot. GD's kid that played at John Carroll. Then he went to Kentucky, and now he's in the NBA on the Knicks. This will be perfect for him because the two of them. I'm not going to say their game is similar, but I'm going to say that I think that would be the perfect backcourt mate for him
All right. Well,
because he's going to make the game easier for him. Definitely going to make the game easier. Like, he's going to make the game easier if you know basketball.
all right. We'll be watching the Knicks in summer league, seeing what we see. Quick hit on Portland. They're trying to build a new roster around Dame Lillard. Good luck with that. We just wanted to let y'all know that they're trying to keep Dame happy.
That ship sailed.
And Charlotte, they did not hire Mike D'Antoni. They rehired Steve Clifford, who probably should have been fired in the first place. So he is returning to the job after being fired, and Kenny Atkinson changed his mind about accepting the job. So Clifford led the franchise to 2 playoff appearances in 5 years that ended in 2018. Clifford always had a strong working relationship with Michael Jordan, fit the profile of what Jordan and Mitch Kupchak wanted for developing a young roster, a coach who could improve them defensively and transform them into a playoff team. He's well regarded. He's been a head coach at both Charlotte and Orlando. So welcome back, Steve Clifford. Okay, welcome back, Steve Clifford. And fans, we're going to close this segment talking about some free agents that I kind of want my partner to keep an eye on. And he may laugh at me at some of them, but we'll see what happens. So DeAndre Ayton, keep an eye on him, Coach, because him and Phoenix didn't get along. He is in his 4th year. He's ending his 4th year, and he could go to the Pistons. He could. He's a young guy, rim protector, can run the floor.
You're scaring me.
Look, man,
he's going to the Pistons. He's going to the Pistons. I made that shit. Dude made a move on us today, shot a 3 and started stepping back. I was like, oh, you cut it to 22. Come on, bro.
And speaking of cut it to 22, Marvin Bagley III. This guy's a lottery pick. I think he's a top 5 pick, if I'm not mistaken. There's something really, really high. And 4 years later, man, he can't get a gig. So I don't think he's going to be re-signed by his current team, and he's just kind of out there. So keep an eye.
Emmanuel Quigley.
Who's that?
That's the guard at New York.
Okay. All right.
From Baltimore.
Mo Bamba, Bradley Brown, keep an eye on him. Bobo. I wanted to ask you about Bobo because when he came out, I think it was Oregon or something, they said, man, in a couple of years, this kid could play. Now it's been a couple of years, and we're going to see if somebody's going to pay for this guy.
I don't even know who you're talking about.
Manute's son. Bless his heart. God rest his soul. Bobo. Man, I think he played. I wish Point 5 was here. He played at Oregon. He's been in the league a few years.
I don't even remember him at Oregon.
I think he played at Oregon.
That a bitch.
Bobo.
You think he played at Oregon?
He did play at Oregon. He was a 2nd round pick in the 2019 draft. He's 7'2". He's 22 now. 7'2", 235. And he really hasn't had an opportunity. And now somebody might, bring him in and say, hey, we want you to play. So keep an eye out. That's all. Keep an eye out. Boogie is a free agent. Did you know Boogie's like only 31?
Do you know how many teams Boogie played for?
I know, but he's like 31. And, he should still be able to contribute to somebody. So maybe if he can get in early, get in training camp, maybe, gosh. Bruno Fernando used to be a Terp. He's a free agent. So, maybe somebody wants him. Maybe. Enes Freedom, not Enes Cantor. He is now Enes Freedom. He is a free agent. Do you think he can help a team?
What?
Win games, man.
Luka
Garza, he's now a free agent.
Okay.
I think he just played on a rookie deal. I'm not sure. Victor Oladipo is a free agent.
Yeah.
Is he healthy yet?
I think he back. I think he healthy enough. I think he can be.
What kind of money, or is he a mid-level exception guy?
Oh, you see, I don't know about that. I ain't saying he got to earn that. He got to earn that back. I can't do all that.
All right. Gary Payton II. Maybe he's found a role now. You can see what he's done. He's got his ring. What do you think?
I think he stays.
Okay.
He signs maybe 1 year deal. He stays.
Okay. Otto Porter Jr. is a free agent. Is Otto somebody you going to get?
Them dudes need to stay. Like, they ain't going to be successful anywhere else but playing with these guys. They get that freedom because of them, not because of themselves. Don't get out there thinking you Danny Green.
Yeah, Danny goes everywhere. And then finally, Collin Sexton. People liked Collin. People said he was a good player. And I think he got injured.
This people never did.
You never liked Collin Sexton?
No. Okay. It's the NBA, man. Come on now. I don't care what you did in college. Come on.
All right. Well,
Collin Sexton.
Look, he's available,
There's a
and
reason.
the
There's
team
a
down the
reason.
street needs a point guard
There's a reason why
and a
he's
two
available.
guard and a three.
There's a reason why he's available, dog. Let's be
Last
honest.
thing, does Brad resign or does he opt out and get the long term, bird type deal with the Zards, or does he just leave town, man? I'll leave you with the last word in this segment.
I don't even want the last word. It don't
Well,
matter.
Brad just
What is it
opt
going to
out.
do? What is it going to do for the organization if he does? Are they going to go
Nothing. Just opt out and get all the money
deeper
you
in the
can, Frank.
season? Is that what's going to happen now? They're going to get to the round 2 of the playoffs now. They'll get a play-in game victory. That's what this going to do.
That's as best as they can do. Brad, opt out, get the biggest bag you can,
Pretty soon this
and
shit going to be like MPSSAA where everybody make the playoffs. Watch.
gotta have some standards unless you're the Nets. And we'll be right back after this short break.
The reviews are in for Dr. Keith Adams' book, Finding the Balance, My Personal Journey to Academic and Athletic Success. College professor and student athlete academic expert Dr. Lisa Rubin said, "There is nothing out there like this book, so I do hope people will pay attention and give it a read." Former George Mason standout Fowler Campbell said, "Consider this book an opportunity to work directly with Dr. Adams, just like I did. I assure you that there will be something you can take away that will be useful to you throughout your personal journey." Ryan Waite, a recent college graduate who is a software engineer, said, "I like how the book is based on research, which makes it good for general students as well as student athletes." The book serves as both a memoir to Dr. Adams' 30-year academic and athletic career, as well as an instructional guide to assist student athletes, parents, coaches, teachers, and administrators navigate through the challenges of finding a better balance between academic and athletic success. The book includes over 15 personal stories and anecdotes from Dr. Adams, along with numerous former players and colleagues from a variety of sports and endeavors. You can order your copy at www.ckasaveproject.org. From the main page, simply click CKA Save Project Services and order the Find the Balance book. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast. In segment 3, it's all WNBA. And I can't lie, Mike. I'm so happy for the WNBA because I can't watch baseball. I cannot do it. So I am hunting for WNBA games, and I bumped into some doozies the last couple of weeks. And hey, baseball, it's your fault because the RBI program never came into my neighborhood, but the NBA built courts and the NFL had punt, pass, and kick. So they came and looked for young Adams, and baseball didn't want me to play and made it complicated for us. So now, as an almost 50-year-old man, you don't get my economic dollar, and I could care less.
Neither does lacrosse.
So, So anyway, top 5. Aces, and man, they've lost a couple of games. The Sun, they're playing well. Your Sky is right there. They're going to be there at the end. The Seattle Storm and the Mystics, who just beat the Aces. And again, on the outside looking in, we got the Dream and the Wings. Okay. Games of the week. The Sparks will play the Wings on Friday. Phoenix will play Chicago on Saturday. I'm all in for that. And Washington will play the Connecticut Sun on Sunday. Stories of the week. We have yet another Brittany Griner update. I'd like to get your thoughts on this because I kind of thought the wife kind of was a little mean when she didn't have to be, because international politics are international politics.
And
But a
she
phone
can
call
do about it.
Yeah, a phone call between jailed WNBA star Brittany Griner and her wife has been rescheduled after an earlier attempt to connect on the couple's anniversary failed because of an unfortunate mistake, Biden administration officials said. State Department spokesperson said the original call could not be completed because of logistical error. And that's in air quotes. The officials worked to have that quickly fixed so that a new call could take place. The State Department and the White House did not offer a date for the rescheduled call. But again, as a social studies person, I know how this works, and it's very delicate. It was a mistake, and it's a mistake that we have worked to rectify, a spokesperson said. The call has been rescheduled and will take place in relatively short order. Griner was to have spoken to her wife on the couple's fourth anniversary for the first time since her arrest. Sherelle Griner said that no call ever came, even though it had been approved by the Russian government, and she's been on the schedule for like 2 weeks. She said she was initially concerned Russian authorities had thwarted the call. She later learned that her wife had tried to call her 11 times by dialing a number for the U.S. Embassy that she'd been given, but nobody picked up on that phone line. That is the unfortunate error. The State Department deeply regretted the error, which said was compounded by staffing constraints at the embassy, including technicians that are located in a third country because of Russian government restrictions placed on embassies and operations. A senior State Department official said that the call was supposed to have gone through one station, which is staffed around the clock, but it was rerouted to a place that was unstaffed. What are you thinking about that, Mike?
It's a lot. I feel bad for the wife and Brittany, but they're putting them through a lot. They're extending this, getting as much out of it as they can. I think publicity itself, just keeping the publicity that they have an American that no one else can get to. I think that's the major thing that they're trying to do here and continue. But and the thing is, this brings to light there's other people who've been there for years. Like we need a better job. Why aren't we hearing about that? We need a
Yes.
better job about that as a country as well.
Yeah. All right, we're putting your coaching hat back on. And is this stacking the deck? Do we have a WNBA super team? Let me tell you, former MVP Tina Charles and the Phoenix Mercury have parted ways in a surprising development from last season's WNBA runner-up team. The Mercury announced that them and Charles had agreed to terms on an immediate contract divorce. Seattle will scoop her up, and she's reunited with a lot of UConn alum. Tina Charles is 33, and she was averaging 17 and 7 for the Mercury. So, what do you think? Is that gonna put Seattle over the hump?
Just don't say super team. Please don't say super. I'm tired of hearing that word. I like it make me want to just lose my mind when people say that, man. Stop. There are no super teams. It's just good basketball players. Come on. So I think this will help them, but it's a tough league. I watched. Was it Merck? Who played the Wizards last night?
That was the Aces because it was
Yeah,
on late.
the Aces last night. That wasn't a bad game. I mean, so I don't see them running away with it with adding Tina Charles. I don't see them running away with it.
Okay. I'm going to try to watch my mouth on this one because when I saw the numbers, I was like, that's impressive. So let's triple our fun. Chicago Sky star Candace Parker had a historic feat on the 50th anniversary of Title IX, recording wait for it, a WNBA record of her third career triple double. It's 3. That was the career
That's the
best.
record.
That was the record. Parker's second triple double came earlier this season against Washington, and her first came in 2017. Parker believes that players such as New York Sabrina Ionescu, who got her second career triple double June 12th, and her Chicago Sky teammate Courtney Vandersloot, who also has 2 career triple doubles, will kind of blow that away. So, what do you think about the triple double invading the WNBA game?
I would thought it would be more. I really thought it would be more. The women's game is much cleaner and technical. I would think it would be more triple doubles, but that's the shock. Only 3. So between those two is 5. I would think it would be more.
I'm thinking we're going to extend that record. Well, fans, let's get ready. In a couple of weeks, the WNBA All-Star Game will be on ABC, July 10th at 1 p.m. And I'd like to, let our fans know how the WNBA All-Star Game voting is. 50% fans, 25% players, 25% media. The head coaches select 12 reserves, and they'll do that on June 28th. So next week, we'll know who the reserves are. And Elena Deladon better be a reserve after what she did last night, too.
And so do Skylar Diggins. She better be on there. She ain't on there right now. She put in work.
All right, but you saw, I did want to tell you how they picked it. So 50% were the fans, 25% players, and 25% media. All right, so the co-captains, Brianna Stewart and Sylvia Biles
fans
versus Aja Wilson and Sue Bird. You also have Jonquel Jones, Candace Parker, Namika Ogumake, Kelsey Plum, who's really, really good, Jackie Young, and Sabrina Ionescu. The league also announced that Brittany Griner will be an honorary All-Star. And we will have All-Star festivities, Mike. We'll have the team selection on July 2nd, 3 o'clock on ESPN. And we will have the skills challenge and the three-point contest July 9th, 3 p.m. on ESPN. So we've got all types of happenings going on with the WNBA. We've got All-Star festivities. So before we close out, sir, any final thoughts on this week before we wrap up, sir?
None at all. Just loved watching that game last night. It was pretty good. And like I said, Skylar Diggins played well. And I think it's a travesty she's not on the All-Star list yet.
All right, we'll see if she gets picked. So on behalf of my tag team partner, Coach Mike Francis, I am Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Eye Coaches podcast. And we will see you on the sidelines. Till next time.
Acrimonious.
Taraji P. Henson was in that movie. There you go. All right.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach Franchize. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches Podcast.